What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the UGASports Call-in show. I'm your host, Paul Maharry, joined by co-host Jason Butt. Ben Bachmann is nowhere to be found. It's going to be a great show. We've got Jed May filling in for us. So, no, Ben will be along, I think, sometime between now and the end of the show. But I guess you guys want to talk about, I don't know, there's some like Manning kid in town. He's got some cool last name. His uncles were Super Bowl MVPs and won Super Bowls and stuff like that. But I mean, we could talk about I don't know. There's tons of other things to talk about. Tennis, baseball. So I mean, I don't know. You guys let us know. We can touch on Arch Manning, I guess. But no, in all seriousness, guys, big, huge recruiting weekend for the Dogs. This was the official visit weekend that kind of locked everything in for a lot of top prospects. You know, Justice Hayes was in town, Caleb Downs. A guy that I love, TJ Shanahan, was in town, just a big mauler on the offensive front. And, you had a bunch of commits as well, Lawson Lucky, Raymond Contrell. Jed May can speak on more of that. But to start off, guys, if you're watching – oh, did I put the link in the description? Oh, let me see. Here, let me add the link into the description. You can join us. I almost messed up. I just saved it, guys. I just saved it. So you can join us by hitting that link in the description. If you don't feel like getting on the airwaves or showing your face, that's fine. Put in the comment section some of your questions and we can get to them. Also, let us know where you're watching us from. We'll throw it up on the screen. Jeff Hightoff says, did anything go on in this weekend in Athens? Question mark. Heard it was quiet out there. Jed May.
Go Nadal. Yeah.
Go Nadal.
I made some money on Nadal. I'm happy about that. Good work, Jeff. I'm glad you're
I'll give you guys my my gambling story a little later on that happened last week. But speaking of making money, but in terms of weekend, Jed, it's pretty good one for the Dogs, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's always like that one weekend that's got more stars than any other. And this weekend was headlined by, of course, Arch Manning, the guy that everyone knows about, and won't stop asking me and Blaine about on the Rumors versus Facts show tomorrow night. And his recruitment to this point has basically been about schools getting in position for one of these officials. You know, there's Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss. There's groups of Florida tried to get in there for a minute, and now it's pretty much down to Georgia and Texas, with Alabama taking Eli Holstein, and Georgia gets the first crack at it. And there's so much. I mean, Blaine mentioned this on Rumors versus Facts last week. There was staff meetings and strategy meetings that going into planning out every minute of these official visits. And you figure for a guy like Arch Manning, that's only doubled for a guy of his caliber. So, but yeah, Paul, you mentioned TJ Shanahan, probably a top offensive line target. Caleb Downs, top safety in the country. Actually, talked to him a little bit ago. Raylan Wilson, Michigan committed inside linebacker. I mean, there's a ton of huge names out there, even before you get to the Georgia commits like Pierce Spurlin, Lawson Lucky, Raymond Contrell, and Gabe Harris, those kind of guys.
So a guy like Jason Butt, who's up in Washington, D.C., doesn't follow recruiting a whole heck of a lot, follows the team. He knows who Arch Manning is.
Of course. And I have a question for both of you. And because when you look at Georgia and the history of its quarterback recruiting, we'll start back with Matthew Stafford. Obviously,
so Jed was like 5.
Okay. Yeah, Jed was about 5 at the time.
I was 9.
And he was 5-star, one of the top quarterback recruits in that class. Then you get Jacob Eason, then you get Justin Fields. Third Jake Fromm in there, but he wouldn't have been at the caliber in terms of the recruiting rankings, just from a consensus standpoint. Where does Arch Manning fall? I mean, is he the best? If he does commit, is he the best quarterback that has ever committed to the University of Georgia? I honestly don't know, which is why I'm asking.
See, that's the debate, is because, okay, is he the number one quarterback because he's that good, or is it because of his name? And you add on top of that, he plays in a smaller classification in New Orleans. So that's just another thing that comes with it. Now, I will say this, he would be the most, I don't know if important's the right word, but when you think about having a Manning on your roster and everything that comes with that in terms of media exposure and recruiting in these next few classes, getting star receivers to come play with Arch, getting offensive linemen to come block for Arch. When you put it that way, I mean, the only guy I could even think of being close to that level of importance would be Jacob Eason, just because he was Kirby Smart's first class, star quarterback, billed as the savior, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, Arch would just be a transcendent prospect in terms of just the importance of the program, which is ironic because anybody else would be swimming in NIL money in that case. But with the Mannings, obviously they don't. I mean, there will be NIL opportunities, but it's not like he's prioritizing that. But yeah, he would be a definite, a huge, the most important recruit Kirby Smart would have landed. I would say that.
There's different ways to look at this, Jason. I think like if you're looking from a perspective of, if you're starting from Stafford, it's a little tough because Stafford was just a different type of beast Georgia hadn't seen like at the quarterback position in a long time. I'm going to take Stafford out of it though and just kind of go from Eason on. Eason was different in that the fact, like Jed said, he stayed with Georgia, stayed with Kirby Smart. Then you had Fromm, who wasn't a 5-star, but obviously played a ton. I think Fields is probably, had he stayed at Georgia, that guy in terms of like production. We saw it. We saw him rise from his junior to senior year, just a transcendent level, take off to where he caught up with Trevor Lawrence, which nobody thought was going to happen. He did. He made that jump. I think that in terms of just overall production, probably would be Fields. But at the same time, like Jed said, with the name of the Manning name, like with everything that just follows the Mannings, that, I mean, his uncles, let's not forget this. His uncles have a show on Monday Night Football that more people watch than the actual Monday Night Football broadcast. And they just sit around and joke and they just do stupid stuff. Like, and his uncles alone, they're going to get asked about him numerous times. Like, let's just say that they extend that contract on ESPN for another 3 or 4 years, right? And Arch does end up at Georgia. And then Arch is a starter at Georgia. You don't think, like, after Georgia-Florida weekend, they're doing Monday Night Football, they're not going to talk about their nephew? Like, it's right. Going to just, it's a snowball effect, but in terms of, like, overall 5-stars, I mean, you have Brock, you have Gunner, and then you have Arch potentially. I think he ends up at Georgia. But that's a good question, Jason, because I think each one of them kind of brings their own level of production, but Manning definitely has obviously the name. I mean, he's got the pedigree. It's just, I'm just curious to see if he can, finish it off. Eric M coming in with Jed is the man.
Facts. I mean, it's a true statement.
We've got Benjamin Bachmann waiting in the wings here. Ben, are you ready to go, bud? Are we ready to pull you in? I don't know. He's looking at his phone. I don't know. We won't pull him in yet. John says, I think Gunner looked better than Manning. I think that there's a lot of people that are going to, this, that, and the other pick and, whatever. Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways to look at this, but Manning himself for this class is huge. I mean, you want to bring in wide receivers for this class, Jed, and you finally have, I'm not going to say finally. Cortez Hankton did a great job of developing these guys, but now you have a guy like BMAC who we know is a known recruiter. And if you're able to bring in Arch, that makes it that much easier. I'm going to bring in Ben while you answer that. Ben, good Lord. Sit back from the camera, son. You're just blinding everybody.
Yeah, I mean, oh, there you are, Paul.
We're not having a conversation here. Just sit there in the corner. We'll get to you.
There he is.
Well, you look at it. Okay, the 23 class, there's a lot of these top receivers have already kind of set their sights elsewhere, like Brandon Ennis, top target, visited Alabama this weekend. But you look at the 24 class, just in the state of Georgia, you've got guys like KJ Bolden at Buford. You've got Nye Carr at Colquitt County. You have Landon Thomas at tight end, who is, I believe, the first or second ranked tight end in the country, also at Colquitt County. And there's obviously guys across the country, but how many of those guys are going to put Georgia either higher up on their list or on their list to begin with, because they know quarterback play is not a question in terms of who's going to be their guy. So when you pair that with Brian McClendon's pedigree as a recruiter, as a coach, because I've been at this job a year, the one question it seems like we get more than any other is, when is Georgia going to land an elite receiver? Why can't Georgia?
Kind of true.
And yeah, I mean, you look at it. I mean, because last year there was so many targets: Luther Burden, Shaz Preston. Oh gosh, there's more than that. I mean, there's so many of those really top end guys that Georgia was in on and struck out on. So you look going forward. I mean, is it a guarantee that'll change with Arch Manning? I guess not, but it's about as close to a guarantee as I think you could probably get.
Thanks for joining, Ben. I know you had a lunch date or dinner date with somebody. We appreciate you.
No. Business, Paul.
Okay. Yeah.
What did I tell you?
Jeff says, how about considering the players that will come with Arch? Jalen Hale, Arch Manning, 1-2 combo. So the winning team gets a future quarterback and wide receiver. And then Chuck Ward says, Choppy brought the heat with the Hale Future Cast. Uncle Zinger must be proud. You did that Future Cast, Ben, at 2:33 in the morning. Get some sleep. Get some sleep.
It's been a struggle recently, Paul, but all right, now we'll get back on track. So I know previously Jed was talking about the receivers. You know, it's the one weird thing that I've seen following and covering recruiting the past few years is in-state receiver talent has been really bad in the state for several years, which doesn't make sense to me. Because I can't think of – it was Jaden Hazel and Dominic Blaylock were the last time I saw any top 100 players. That was 2019. And before that, there were several years there was no elite receivers. Like Terry Godwin, I believe, was in state. They got him. Yep. There's just not that many from Georgia. And that hurts because when you look – and I look at some of these kids and I would say some of them probably don't go to Georgia if they aren't an in-state kid. Pierce Sperling grew up in Georgia. He's been committed since he was a freshman in high school. Like stuff like that matters, that you don't have the in-state talent base at receiver, and next year you do. Now this year it's interesting because I do think they're going to sign a better receiver class than they did in the previous 2 years. I think that's for sure. But I think next year is going to be their best one because you have like KJ Bolden, Zion Ragens. That's one of the fastest receivers I've ever seen. I think Jed's covered them. I mean, for a kid that freshman, sophomore year is running probably like low 4.2s in the 40, that's insane. Now he's really small, but that's freaky fast. And Nye Carr's out of Colquitt County. And there's just a bunch of guys. So I think in the long term, the receiver room with Arch Manning and the in-state's going to fix itself. I don't think it's a worry. I think the biggest question mark is the offensive line going forward with recruiting. And I think Arch could help that a lot because I really don't know outside of a couple of the in-state guys like Calhoun next year who they're really trending for personally. That's something to really watch.
Well, while we watch for that, Eddie from Ackworth is going to join us. We're going to 5-box this thing. Just go crazy with it. Eddie, what's going on? Are you saving up for my steak dinner? Your hair's looking good, man. You been at the pool?
Thanks.
What's going on?
I just jumped in the pool, so sorry.
Look at that. I called it. He's in the pool.
Good
Must
call.
be nice.
So let me start this by saying, first off, I don't remember the guy's name. Y'all have to say it. But this 7-6 apparel, which I'm wearing right here.
Oh, Chance, yeah.
Okay, Chance. One of the best shirts ever right here, guys. This is fantastic. I wore this.
That's showing off your pecs right there, Eddie. You've been working out a little bit, bud?
That's ancillary, Paul. I mean, don't worry about that. I was at the beach all week, and I wore this around. And I'll tell you, an Auburn guy held the door for me because he said, you're a national champion. You deserve to go through the door first. So we win.
How sweet it is.
Yeah.
How sweet it is.
Fantastic.
Well, you're still at the beach right now, Eddie? Or are you back home?
No, we're home now. We're home now. I mean, yeah. So
okay, well, that's good. Well, what do you think about Arch Manning? You think he's a good quarterback or what?
Well, I mean, I'll take Arch Manning all day long. I mean, and you said it a minute ago. What does that bring with it? That's a wave, right? If we get Arch Manning, does Justice Haynes jump on board? Do other recruits jump on board? The only thing that concerns me a little bit is the attrition, because there's going to be attrition, right? I mean, Arch Manning comes on board. Who leaves? Gunnar Stockton, Brock Vandergrift. There's going to be attrition.
That's interesting. That's interesting, Eddie, because that's exactly what I've been saying this whole time. But Ben wants to bust my balls on that, and it might leave your quarterback room a little barren. That's all I'm saying.
Paul was trying to justify not taking him. There's a difference.
No. I'm not saying
Paul,
don't take him.
You can't go back on it.
Go ahead, Paul. I want to hear this.
No, I'm not saying not taking him. I'm saying there are going to be ramifications if you take Arch Manning. That's what I'm getting at. I'm not saying don't take the kid. You have to take a quarterback in every class. And if you happen to get Arch frickin' Manning as your guy this year, then you take him. What I'm saying is, though, there will be ramifications from this. And then what's going to happen is next year, oh, hey, Brock's gone. Carson's dipped. What do you do? You know, that's all I'm
But,
getting at.
Paul,
Well,
here's the thing. If Arch commits and a guy leaves, and Arch is coming as a freshman, and these are second, third, and fourth year guys are leaving before even seeing this kid, what does that tell you about them? What does that tell you? Now, if they stay and compete with him and then leave, I get it. But if you're telling me they immediately leave,
No, I'm saying
No, I
anyway.
don't think they immediately leave.
No.
I don't think that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I say if Arch Manning beats him out and then they leave, Arch Manning's your guy. I think
Yeah.
you deal with the ramifications. You're in a great position recruiting wise, where if you keep getting great quarterback after great quarterback, you deal with the aftermath, which you're not going to keep them all. Georgia's dealt with that in the past. It did hurt them, but they have more depth now to where I don't think the attrition. You're not going to have 3 leave at once. I think you're still going to have 2 to 3 quality guys per year, unlike in the past when it was, you had Justin Fields and Jake Fromm, and everybody knows what happened there. I just don't see that kind of scenario playing out again. But you don't pass the opportunity to take a guy that's talented.
Absolutely not.
Let me ask you guys a question. We're kind of putting the cart before the horse here.
We are.
Arch Manning is down to excuse me if I'm wrong, Texas and Georgia, or is Alabama still in the mix?
Alabama's still in it, but
Okay.
Jed, is he
Not
still
much of a
going on an
chance,
official
really.
visit?
So
Even though
Alabama, I mean, Georgia and Texas had kind of separated themselves anyway, but Alabama takes Eli Holstein, who's a top
That's what
250 guy, whatever. So
Yeah.
he's still going to take his official, I believe, unless that gets. I mean, I wouldn't think the Mannings would just bail on an official, but yeah, it seems like it would. I don't think Alabama would have taken Holstein if they
Arch was
not if
serious.
they didn't think. I think they would have done what Georgia and Texas have done, which is hold out for Arch and then let those.
that's got to be so weird, though. It's got to be so weird. Like, you're going on this official visit to like see Nick Saban in Tuscaloosa, but they've already taken a quarterback and they know you're not really interested, but you're going anyway. Like that, and that could help Georgia in a scenario because he comes off this killer visit with Georgia. He comes off this killer visit with Kirby Smart. And then he goes to Bama where they're like, yeah, we'd like you. Like, we'd love for you to come, but we've already got a quarterback. So like, we're going to show you a little bit of love. We've got these 2 5-star defensive ends that are here. We're going to show like a lot of love to. Yeah, we'll show you a little. So like, it makes that Georgia visit even higher than it, potentially could be had Texas been the next one. So
Well, this one's pretty easy to me, guys. There's one number you just throw at Arch when he comes on your campus, and that number is 0 right there. 0 players drafted in the NFL by Texas. 0.
Ooh. Yeah, that was probably said in the negative recruiting phase.
Don't they have the richest athletics department?
That's impossible. That's impossible.
That's nuts.
Now,
That is kind of wild.
Texas's counter to that is, okay, that was last year, but then you look at the guys Steve Sarkisian has had drafted specifically a quarterback, and then so that's probably where they're, because I feel like that is the main reason Texas is where it is, because of Steve Sarkisian and what he's done with quarterbacks throughout.
It's still crazy. It's still crazy to me, though, that like I just can't picture the Mannings hitching their wagon to Steve Sarkisian. I understand it, but like his past is his past, and everybody has a second chance at life, and I completely agree with that wholeheartedly. But to hitch your wagon to
to hitch your wagon to that, and sorry to interrupt, Paul, but let's remember Georgia lost to Texas in a game nobody cared about at the University of Georgia, and what did we hear? Texas is back.
Sam Ellinger
is back on the map, and how's that been since then? How's that
been pretty terrible?
But also, Paul, last year, Texas fans were already complaining about Sark and should we let him go because they didn't make a bowl game and lost to Kansas. Sorry. You lose to Kansas and you don't make a bowl game. I understand it's a coach's first year. The Big 12 is not a good conference. You're the richest athletic department and maybe the most talent-rich state in the country, and you can't make a bowl game or beat Kansas.
They lose their basketball team,
or like a walk-on fullback walking it off against. That's just bad. It just is. I don't. Kirby made a bowl his first year. His first year wasn't great, but he was in a national championship game his second year. So if Sark isn't there, that tells I don't want to hear the argument between the two ever in terms of a head coach. I simply put don't want to.
Right.
Well, then you won't have to, Ben. Damn.
I'm just saying. I've seen like Texas fans and people around the whole.
Texas fans are
and
kind of
I'm
crazy.
just sitting here,
but
you can't.
But now,
debate.
Eddie, what you have though is process of elimination. We've eliminated Bama with what Jed said already, and then you talk about Texas and kind of the clutch that's going on over there. Process of elimination. He had a great visit this weekend. Arch is probably a dog. I mean, I don't want to again put the cart before the horse there, but he's probably a dog.
The only thing that comes with that is the caveat that he walks on campus at Texas. He is the man. I mean, he's the god. He's the immediate starter, all that kind of stuff. At Georgia, I mean, it's going to take a year or two before he's anything. Now, I don't know what his mindset is. I have no idea, right? But that's got to weigh in a little bit. He walks on campus at Texas, and he's the guy. He's not at Georgia. He's just not.
Yeah, Jed.
Yeah. I look at it as one. There is a chance because we're going to assume Arch Manning is enrolling early. I would assume.
Yeah, I would hope so. God,
you go through spring. There's a decent chance he wins the starting job. And then two, I think Georgia is the way more well-rounded school because Texas again has Sarkisian. Georgia they don't have Sarkisian, but they do have Todd Monken, who has worked with good quarterbacks in his day. Blaine has said a million times how important the college experience is, the Mannings. And you have the college town of Athens versus Austin, which
undefeated.
I understand is a cool town, but there's so much other stuff going on besides the University of Texas in Austin, which is the capital of Texas, I think.
It's a cool city.
Development. You've got stability on the coaching staff. You've got all these other things. You've got relationships. The Manning family has relationships with all these Georgia coaches, plus Matt Luke, who's still hanging around Athens. So you look at it from an entire, the whole picture, and it seems like Georgia is the more well-rounded choice. The question is, does that strong relationship with Sarkisian and what he's done with quarterbacks, does that one out? I think that's a hell
of a sell. If Sark is able to pull Arch Manning, that is a hell of a sell.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see what those two could do if they really match up like that.
Remember, he got Quinn Ewers. That what I think is interesting. Yeah. People have brought this up. If he waits until the season, it must be to see how good Quinn Ewers is. Because if Quinn Ewers is he's like the same ranking. He was #1 recruit as well in the country, and he's a superstar quarterback. So if he is developed, Arch can look and say, well, I can be just like him. Now I'm looking at the depth chart situation, saying Georgia. We know Stetson's gone after this year, so it's clear.
Are they not going to give him another year, Jason Butt?
They give him a 7. Why not?
At this point, dude,
he's going to get a Rochester.
Like I've legit been gone from Athens for over 10 years now, and I feel like he was on campus when I was there too. Like it almost feels like that. Like at this point, like he's back again. Like there's no more classes for Stetson to take. Like it's go get your law degree now, PhD. Like I don't know. It just feels like we were on campus at the same time, and I graduated in 2013. I don't know. Feels weird, but go ahead with your point. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, it's going to be key to see the development of Texas quarterback if he's waiting. Otherwise, I think it does help Georgia if he decides earlier. That's just my opinion because of the on-field from this past season.
We've had a couple of questions.
Jed, I have a question for you. And
nice.
Maybe this is true or not. You can verify. Gunner has basically said he is not going anywhere no matter what happens. Is that true?
That has been the feeling. But again, kids, because every kid that commits or signs or whatever, is like, oh, I'm not afraid of competition.
Yeah.
They say that with the mindset of, why should I be afraid? I'm going to go in there and win. So I don't know.
But has Brock said that?
I haven't heard Brock say
that. Eddie, actually, do you have a note on Gunner? Gunner has been recruiting Arch heavily, especially on his not this visit. It was Jed. When was the last time he was here? March or April?
No, he was here March 19th.
Why?
Yeah. So
why on God's green earth?
Him. So he was recruiting him at least. So that says something.
Why? That's my question. What Paul said. Why?
That makes no sense. I get it. But why would you
recruiting a replacement? Right?
Yeah. No way. There's
but also it's Athens. They're having fun. I mean, I guess that could be. So if you were also a recruit and Kirby's looking and saying, this guy's clowning on a recruit I want, why is he doing that? He wants
just don't put him. Just don't bring Gunner around him if he's going to do that. But I don't know if you feel that it's going to happen.
I think these guys, it's different than the way we look at it, right? Those guys, they're competing against each other, but then when they're not on the field, most of them get along great and they're friends with each other. Mm-hmm. So it's Yeah, it's kind of like what Jed said is, okay, I'm the best. I'm going to go out and I'm going to win, but that doesn't mean I can't be friends and can't recruit other players out of the position. I'm going to go beat them out. And then if they don't beat them out, they're still friends, but they transfer. So, I mean, it's a different mindset and mentality, I think, for these players than the way how we would look at it, which is like, why would you want to recruit your replacement? But for them, I think there is a friendship aspect. There's the human element. And then also, you bring in an Arch Manning for that class, and you're Gunnar Stockton in a previous class. That only helps you bring in, like we said earlier, those other players, those other pieces at receiver, at running back, at the offensive line that Arch Manning has developed relationships through the camp circuit.
So who knows? Maybe Gunner's looked at Arch's tape and been like, "Dude, I got this guy in the bag." Like,
the thing is just quarterback is such the unique thing because, like, okay, Jalen Walker is recruiting CJ Allen when CJ Allen's on campus this weekend. Jalen Walker knows that him and CJ Allen can be on the field at the same time. I mean, running back, receiver, offensive lineman, a little not, but those guys rotate in and out. Quarterback, there is one dude on the field, and barring injury, there is going to be one dude on the field all year, except for blowout time. So it's so unique because, like you said, you've got to have guys usually get paired up with guys at their position as hosts on these visits. So you got say like you're talking about, you've got Gunner as Arch's host, for example. I don't know who his host was, but say, hey, bud, Georgia's great, but also it's not that great. Like what's right. I mean, what can you say when you're in that position except recruit him and then let the chips fall where they may? And if he comes to Georgia, then you compete and beat him out. I mean, that's what all these guys come here to do. I mean, Gunner came here to compete with Brock, knowing Brock was here. So what's one more guy, thrown into the mix to try to beat out?
So you guys may have addressed this before I came on, and I apologize if you did. But how does the NIL weigh into this decision for Arch Manning? Does the NIL benefit him more at Texas or more at Georgia, or is it about even?
For Arch, it's not really NIL, I wouldn't say.
Well, I mean, come on, that's got to weigh into his thinking.
That's got some meat. Like I get where everybody's saying like it's not the number one thing. Yeah, he's not growing up like how I did in like a 2-room shack with my mom and my sister. Like he's not doing that. But he's also money. It's millions of dollars.
Well, Paul, here's the thing. Georgia is within. I mean, Athens is within an hour of Atlanta, and then you also have Austin's fairly big city. So they're marketable cities. But if you get Arch Manning, companies are going to come at you regardless. There's always this notion kids are going to get paid to go to a certain school, pay for play. They're, NIL swaying kids to certain schools. Wherever Arch goes, he's going to get millions of dollars.
He probably already has
wherever
an
he
agent,
goes.
honestly.
So is that irrelevant? Texas.
I think it's
irrelevant. Because I think he's going to make a big amount either way.
Yeah, I think when you're a kid like Arch Manning, like Ben said, the NIL is going to come to you whether it's no matter where it is. I mean, the companies might be different. Texas specific, like, okay, if he goes to Austin, he'll get a Whataburger deal, and if he comes to Georgia, he'll get, I don't know,
Zaxby's,
whatever. Yeah. So I mean, but as far as, I mean, I honestly don't think it weighs into his decision much at all. Because, like I said, he's going to get it either way.
He might even get like national deals, Eddie, with like his uncles doing like Monday Night Football stuff or like commercials for that. Because we talked about that before you got on. Like, his uncles, if they sign a longer contract, which I don't know if they are or not, their Monday Night Football broadcast was great.
And by the way, just to interrupt you, that is one of the best things I've ever watched on Monday night. I think it's fantastic. Those guys get it. They are so fun, and they make Monday Night Football fun.
Yeah, because Monday Night Football is normally picked well before the season, unlike Sunday Night Football, which Sunday Night Football is like the best game of the week. Monday Night Football, it's like the Ravens versus the Browns, just two trash, terrible franchises.
That was a great game. That was a great game.
I did
that. That was a great game.
I did that because Ben's a Ravens guy and Jed's a Browns guy.
You did.
I try to be a Browns guy, dude. It's really hard. You're really, really bringing me down nowadays.
But no, I mean,
but Paul, I just noticed something also. Do you remember who's a quarterback for Clemson? DJ, I'm not going to pronounce his last name. DJ, did the Dr. Pepper commercials before he ever even started for Clemson. So that's a big national thing.
Millions.
So Arch, some teams or some companies are going to be like, okay, let's take a chance on him early.
Well, his last
name can lock it down.
I'll say this real quick. I think that's going to change because I think last year, you're exactly right. That proved that the DJU, I'm not going to say his name either, They gave him millions of dollars, and that did not pan out for them at all. And I think companies are now backing off and saying, hey, let's see how this kid does first before we give him all this money, right?
I mean, you could look back at like the top 10 kids. They got NIL deals last year, and I want to say like 6 of them were quarterbacks that weren't starting at their school by the end of it, and the other 4 were not good. You know,
JT got a lot, and he didn't end up finishing the year.
It's a Rattler, right?
Spencer Rattler. I mean, yeah, you could like the commercials at week 1 and week 2. If you go back and watch those now, you're like, wow, those companies really kind of jumped the gun on NIL. And you're right, Eddie. I think that's a huge kind of wait and see. Maybe we don't see the NIL deals pop out until like week 6, until it's like, all right, you're guaranteed the starter because or you end up in a situation like you did with DJU with Dr. Pepper, where they're like, we can't even show these damn commercials anymore, guys. We spent $20 million on these, and this kid's throwing interceptions against Pitt. You know, like, what are we doing here? You know, we could have been better with little midget hands Pickett instead. You know,
you can't say midget, Paul. Come on.
Oh, my bad.
Kenny Small,
little people hands midget, or excuse me, little people.
Wow.
Hands. All right, this is getting out of hand.
Gone off the rails.
Oh boy, they're going to report us. We're not going to make any money on this one. Oh man. Let's Eddie. Anything else from you today, Eddie?
No, I appreciate it, guys. This is a lot of fun. I really appreciate you letting me come in.
Eddie, man, you're welcome anytime, brother. And we'll let Chance know too about the shirt, and just save your pennies.
Dude, this thing is, I love it. It's just fantastic.
I mean, you're looking
you don't
yoked
have to say
up,
anything.
dude.
You just walk around like this, right? I mean, you don't have to say a word.
How many rounds has been you and Ben in a boxing match? How many rounds has been?
No, I'm not experienced. I'd take him in like 4.
Well,
I'd stay around a little bit, but
if I stay on my feet, I have a 3rd-degree martial arts black belt. So
you're done, Ben. You're done. 25 seconds.
Oh, I thought you meant box because I think I'm quick. That's why I could just hang in there for a little bit.
Let's do it.
Ben, I will pay good money to set that up, bud.
So you'll owe me a steak, and Ben, you'll owe me a boxing match.
An ass whooping. Yeah, fair enough. Eddie, we'll see you next week, man.
Thank you, guys.
Man, you suck, Paul. Like, honestly, straight up, you suck.
You know what? I bring up the boxing thing. I have no idea, right? And then he's a 3rd-degree mark. Dude, he would whoop your ass in less than 30 seconds. There's no chance.
Oh, with that resume? I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, that escalated really quick.
Like, he looked yoked as hell in that shirt. Bro, he's knocking your ass out in 30 seconds.
Yeah, you're trying to set me up.
I'm not trying to set you up. I'm just letting you know. Like,
you're setting yourself up for steak dinners. And for me to, I don't even know.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. We've had a lot of comments come in, guys. I don't know. It threw me off right there with the whole. I was talking about Kenny Pickett's hands, and I shouldn't have. Jeff says he's a millionaire already, and it doesn't even matter. Talking about Arch. Arch isn't a millionaire yet. I think his dad is, but I don't think Arch is. Correct.
And again, like he's not going to
make some great investments in his
Cooper has good money.
Class.
Cooper's hosted some game shows. I mean, he has some endorsement deals. And,
but like just because
the whole family, the whole family's rich as hell. I mean,
they all had money.
Yeah,
but I mean, some are definitely like Peyton's definitely got the most of the bunch. But
it really doesn't matter because guys like Arch. It goes back to when I talked to Matt Hibbs, the Classic City Collective. Guys like Arch are going to have representation from the get-go. So he's not going to have to go seeking. He doesn't even have to go to the collective. He's not going to be one of those guys. He's going to have a big-time rep from the agency, most likely that's rep the Mannings his whole career, and those opportunities are just going to fall in his lap. He's going to sign, and that's a wrap. That's it. And so it's not going to be an issue like maybe some of those high 4-star guys who are good, but they're not going to be targeted by NIL. They're going to have to seek their opportunities, hope to land an opportunity. We covered it. Arch doesn't have to go he doesn't have to go to Georgia or Texas to get NIL. He's going to have NIL come to him, and he's going to probably get some really, really good opportunities because of his last name.
What's funny, Easy E for Life says, let's just hope Texas is not courting Elon over Tesla or SpaceX to sponsor Arch. Tesla's based in Austin suburbs now. Just joking, but
who knows?
Dude, that would be wild. I know that like they have
is now like the new face of the Twitter app.
Right. Yeah, he's
Twitter and SpaceX.
With the hook'em.
Yeah, Arch's face with the hook'em, and it's the new launch pad or something like that. Like, I don't know, man. Just let NIL go wild. He's on the side of spaceships now. Marlon Green. Ooh, this is a question for you here, Jed, since we'll get this. He says TJ Shan, talking about TJ Shanahan, gives me Sawyer vibes. I really hope we get this one. Dude, Marlon Green, before I send this to Jed, you are 110 trillion% correct. This dude's a bad man. Bad man. Day one, bad man. Jed.
Yeah, I mean, and it's similar too, because like he's it's so stupid to say physicality when you're talking about alignment, but like he just plays like Jamari Sawyer played, and he's got the frame where he can play guard or tackle. He's really good, and Georgia's done just yeoman's work to get in this recruitment because he's a guy. He's from Orlando, lives in Texas A&M. All these schools are in on him, and all of a sudden he comes to Georgia for G-Day, and it's like, whoa. Like, where did this come from? And Georgia gets the first official. Sounds like it went well. Roddy posted that note about the food trucks last night, and somebody said Shanahan probably went to all three of them. So we know he was fed pretty well.
Look at this. Look at this. Like, look at this guy. He is about to be a senior in high school. He looks like he's 27. Could you imagine stepping up against this guy in high school football?
Yeah. And he mauls people. Like, all the highlights I see, he just destroys people, and he plays.
That's a grown man. He has 2 cross earrings in his ears.
School, like, Texas high school football is not a joke. So
Paul, he's a grown man. That's a bad because he has earrings. Like
like
really,
I've heard you say he's got a mustache. He's got a full beard. This is a grown man right here.
Yeah, with the earrings instead of the beard.
He's got the earrings. That's a grown man. Really, Paul? Come on. That's
a grown man, and like
that's a grown man.
Because people make this assumption that, oh, he's from Texas, he's going to go to one of the Texas schools. But like I said, he's not from Texas. So it's not like, oh, he has to stay home. So, I mean, I think at this point, because Georgia's offensive line commits, you got Bo Hughley, who's actually took an official to Nebraska this weekend. And then you got Raquez McElderry, who everyone knows Alabama and Auburn are after. So outside of that, like the offensive line, like there's not a ton of super top talent, especially guys that could play outside, that Georgia is really in on. So to land TJ Shanahan to be a foundation of this offensive line class would be massive, especially given where it looked like Georgia was in this recruitment, I don't know, 6 months ago.
Yeah. Chuck Ward says maybe Athens Ford will put Arch in a new Raptor and take Roddy out of his demo. I think Roddy bought his car, Chuck. I think he did. Might have got a good deal on it. But speaking of Raptors, did you guys see Nolan Smith's Raptor? Did you guys see that?
It is really nice.
No, I didn't see it actually.
Oh, Jason, I'm gonna have to pull this up too. If I can.
Sorry.
Raptor. I think Athens Ford, or I don't want to say which Ford it was. I don't want to be that guy because they're all different. Who did this? I don't know. It's really sick though. It's all a YouTube video. It's gonna mess up if I put it on here. But basically, these guys, it was Akins, Ford, and Winder customized a Ford Raptor. Guys, if you're on your computers or anything like that, just type in Nolan Smith Raptor. There's a YouTube video, 15 minutes long, that shows the whole thing. But dear God, like they put Georgia emblems inside the brake lights and deck this thing out. I mean, yeah, it's my dream truck, in terms of just like actual monstrosity. And Nolan Smith's got it for free because he did a video with him for 15 minutes. Yeah, thank you, Easy. TJ is a unit. He's a grown man. He's like that. I forget what movie is that. Is it where he has the paper and it says "I am 7" on it? What movie is that?
Oh, it's is it Benchwarmers?
Yeah, it's Benchwarmers, where like he shows him the paper. He's like, "I am 7."
There's like a $20 bill like folded.
Yeah, yeah, that's TJ Shanahan like getting on the field next year in high school. I am senior, like, and just hands it to the ref and goes out there and does his thing. That's a grown man. Speaking of other guys that came into town, not named Arch or TJ Shanahan or CJ Allen, who we touched on, and I don't want to touch on everything because you guys have a huge rumors versus facts show tomorrow, Jed, and I appreciate you stepping on with us, especially with Ben having a business dinner to attend to before he could get on here. In terms of commits, guys, Pierce Spurlin, he looked a lot bigger than I had seen him in his last few photos. So he's getting bigger. Raymond Cottrell, how do you say his last name, Jed?
I think it's Cottrell.
Is a huge proponent for UGA football, recruiter for sure. Lawson Lucky has been committed, it seems like forever, just like kind of like Pierce Spurlin. Anybody that showed up that you were like, oh, wow, I'm pleasantly surprised to see this guy in Athens or anything like that?
I don't know about pleasantly surprised because I mean the recruiting staff here has done a great job of just compiling lists of guys that are going to be here and all that kind of stuff. I think, and I told this to Blaine the other night, the guy I'm really interested to watch is Raylan Wilson. He's inside linebacker. He's about 120 in the nation or something. Committed to Michigan. Had Georgia and Michigan in his top 2 in December. Chose Michigan, obviously. But Glenn Schumann went to a school in January. He visited Georgia for a weekend, unofficial in March, and obviously is back now. So that because last time Georgia hosted a commit on campus, it was Justin Ritt who decommitted about 12 hours into a visit for G Day, and then came to Georgia a week later. So, Coach Donnan always says follow the visits. He's been in Athens. Braylon Wilson's been in Athens a lot. And I mean, what position coach in the country can sell development at the inside linebacker position better than Glenn Schumann? When he had 3 guys go in the first 3 or 4 rounds, you had Roquan, who was a first rounder. You had, if you want development, look at what he did with Tay Crowder. Dude was a running back, and you turned Tay Crowder into a starter for the Giants. So you look at development, there's no one in the country better than Glenn Schumann. So I'll be interested to keep an eye on Raylan Wilson to see, does he decommit in the next few days? Does he straight flip? That's Michael Williams did that last year. So he's a guy to keep an eye on. That's a guy I'm interested to watch.
What's funny is I have a half brother that lives down in Florida, goes to Venice High School with Damon Wilson, and he just texted me and said he's a Bulldog boy. And I was like, what are you talking about? He said, go look at his Instagram, and it says path chosen. I was like, no, chill out. It's just his Instagram photo. Had me a little worried there that we'd missed. Like that. I know, man. I'm texting right now, like, chill out. He's like, go look at his Instagram. I'm like, that's not how recruiting works. Go look at his other photos. But Damon Wilson's a guy from Florida that Georgia's in on as well. Scared me a little bit there. Sorry, I had to get that out there.
Cool. Yeah, and that's a guy that is kind of the one surprise, because we were actually trying to figure out the big group picture in the stadium. We're like, who's this guy standing behind Caleb? It turned out to be Damon Wilson. But one of those guys, big, really is a edge dude, really big and long, just like all these guys that Chidera Uzodribe keeps offering. They all have the same, about 6'6", about 225, 230 pounds. These big, long, rangy guys. Damon Wilson fits the mold. So,
Paul, he was there for like 4 days, so he was there long. I mean, he was on an unofficial. He was there for longer than the people that were on the official, because he came in on Thursday. So that's something that's interesting to me, because I had no idea he was even going to show up. So that was interesting.
So he's one to watch, moving forward. This is kind of what we'll finish. Did you just turn your light off again, Jason?
No, man, that same thing happened like that one day. Hold on.
I think it's time to move out of the house, Jason.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's time to move out, bro.
I know, man. I know. I got a ghost in here.
It's time to move out, bro. That's just what happened. Nobody's in there.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Another comment here, talking about, we'll wrap this up, those white uniforms with those white helmets, man. Like, I don't know, guys.
The white helmets threw me off, man. I'm not gonna lie. Those threw me. I actually like the white pants, but I don't know about the white helmets.
You wonder, because I remember hearing, or not, like seeing someone on the board post months ago, just pure speculating, Georgia playing Oregon to start if Nike with the Phil Knight connection would come up with some kind of Georgia alternate. Could it be? I don't know. Probably not, because we've all seen how this fan base reacts to alternate uniforms. But it was very, like you said, Jason, it was very like jarring to see, because usually, like, it was like last summer with the red pants. It was, it was Julian Humphrey or someone broke out the red pants.
I think it was Julio. Yeah.
Was it red on red?
Was it? Yeah, I can't remember. Was it red on red?
Was it red on red, Jed?
Yes. Yeah.
No.
Okay. But then it was like, because they wore the red pants against Arkansas with the throwback uniforms a couple years ago, but I think those were just like the regular ones, but red, and then you get the black jerseys. But it was like the people on our message board are so like they zoom in like, okay, it's not the 2020 black jerseys with the dog collar, it's the regular black jerseys, and it's like, oh, God, they're not going to wear them. Like, does it?
That's the part that gets me, though, is that they have all these combinations for these recruits, and then in the games they're just wearing the traditional uniform.
I mean, there's no like, because I've always wondered at what point do recruits see that, like, that you're never going to wear this stuff. So what? Right. But also, like, I mean, there's no harm in dressing up in uniforms you think are cool.
But it's also like taking up space in your equipment room to have all those helmets and things like that. Like, just to not have. Okay, so here's my question on that. There's two-part question. Do they ever wear the all, or next year, do they wear the all white? So white pants, white jersey, white helmet. Yes or no?
No.
I'm going to go with no.
I would say no. I would think that's more likely than wearing a white helmet, though.
Okay, so and then my next question is, do they next year wear a white helmet for any game?
No.
I don't think so.
I find it funny that Georgia fans care the most about uniforms compared to every team in the country. Maybe because but I just noticed that no other teams ever care about uniforms. They're just like, whatever's out there, that's like Georgia's always like, when is black? It's like a countdown every week, but the black uniforms, and it's like once every couple years they bring them out. And so it's usually universally known that they're coming out that week anyway.
Yeah. And Georgia's red and black too, like red and black.
They should wear the black at least once a year. They should do like the biggest home game. Like that's what I would do. Because I think that would just make it a little bit cooler. But
do you have an apple in your hand, Ben?
Yeah, dude. This is a big ass apple.
What are we doing here tonight? What are we doing, bud?
That needs to be the title of the show.
Dude, do you have an apple in your hand?
So, I mean, you look at uniforms. Okay, what are the two most maligned alternate uniforms Georgia's worn in the past 20 years?
The Grambling one,
Florida with the black helmets, and the Power Ranger ones against Boise State. Both of those obviously featured an alternate helmet. Granted, Georgia got shellacked in those games. That didn't help. But I don't know. I don't see as much as Kirby Smart has resisted screwing with the uniforms, like messing with a helmet would be a huge step to take for him. I think white pants, I could see that.
Yeah,
possibly.
I think if they just did the uniform, if they were like, they don't have to be Oregon, but if they were like a lot of the other teams and wore alternates every so often, I don't think the fans will get used to it. I think it's the fact that they've been so traditional for so long. It's programs like that where I think what Ben said is you know, people start to wonder, when are we going to do this? When are we going to do that? And then you have the traditionalists who are like, no, don't change anything. But you know, once you go that route, like Michigan's gone that route now, where they don't wear the same uniform every week. When they used to wear literally the blue and the maize and the white and the maize, and now you know Ohio State does that. So you look around the country, you really only a handful of teams. You know, Georgia, Alabama, those are the two that come out. I don't think Texas messes with their uniform often. Oklahoma, yeah, USC.
Oklahoma did that like cream thing.
Yeah, those. I like
yeah.
those.
I like those.
Yeah, they did. Okay.
Penn State's pretty straight up.
Penn State, yeah. USC, I don't think USC messes with theirs. I'm not.
Yeah, USC might have had like a black jersey once. I don't think so.
But who watches USC anymore? Like,
yeah, that's true.
I mean, Pac-12.
Yeah, everybody at Florida has a number of options now. You know. So
I'm not laughing at you, Jay. I'm laughing at this comment I'm about to put on the screen.
Oh, nice.
Jeff Hightower says you get that apple at the Holiday Inn Express with that girl from a few weeks ago.
The bot got in touch with my address, Paul. I still not.
Jed. So there was this girl.
Please come again, please.
Yeah. So there was this girl that came in and talking about how Ben had broke her heart and how she was so sorry that this was the only way that she.
I apparently left my belt at the.
Yeah, he left his.
What's even the place called?
Motel 6.
Motel 6.
Motel 6. I didn't know what the Motel 6 was. I don't care if I sound dumb saying that. But
so Ben was convinced
to come on live.
Jed, Ben was convinced that this was a bot, right? So I timed it out. So like it was timed out for 5 minutes. If it was a bot, it would just go away.
Paul. I don't know Julie Lee, That
Boom.
woman also looked like
Oh,
she
you
was
remember her
55 in
name?
the profile picture. What do you think? I'm going for Cougars?
You remember her name. So she comes back, Jed, like, why did you time me out? I'm still here. You left your belt at the Motel 6. Like, why did you do this? Dude, it was a hoot, man. Oh, and then like Glenn Mercer said, she left the lights on for him over there. Left the lights on. I'm assuming, Ben, you've gotten back in touch with her and everything's kosher and that she doesn't have to come on the show anymore. Right?
Yeah, the belt is in the mail.
I mean, I started getting some no caller ID calls in the days following this, so something is fishy here, Paul. I think you could be in on this. That's what my sources are telling me.
Oh God. Oh man. If I did that, that would be one of my greatest accomplishments. But no, it's not me. I promise you she's real. And she'll be like
she's real and she's spectacular.
Yeah. But now that you've been in touch with her, that's not her only way of communicating with you as the show. So glad you talked to her. But that was pretty good, Jeff. We appreciate that.
There we go again. The ghost came back.
Dude, Jace.
I don't know what's going on, man.
You need to somebody help this guy out, man. Oh boy. With that, guys, we'll go ahead and wrap it up before Jason is taken away by ghosts in his house. Thank you so much to Jed May for stepping in when others couldn't or others wouldn't. I don't know, the biggest recruiting weekend that Georgia's had. I don't know. We appreciate you being here right at 8:00 and helping us out, man, and staying and hanging out with us the whole time.
Yeah, for sure. This is if we're gonna start telling Motel 6 and ghosts and whatever, like I gotta be here more often.
This show's pretty fun, Jen. I'm not gonna lie. We've got some hardcore followers. We make fun of Ben a lot, and
Paul says the stupidest things I've ever heard.
I say some pretty dumb stuff to really be a devil's advocate.
He eats his frozen pizzas at 9:00, so he rushes off to eat his frozen pizzas. There's crappy Tombstone pizzas.
No, I would never eat a Tombstone. Never eat a Tombstone.
I'd rather. What's the one that you get the Aldi one, right?
Yeah, the Aldi deep dish. Yeah. Never in a million years.
I don't care, Paul. You're never going to live that down.
When we get off this show.
Yeah, Jed's about to eat right now. Calm down, Ben.
Between interviews and writing your stories, I hadn't had any time to freaking eat.
Guys, we appreciate you joining us for this crazy Arch Madness weekend. I'm going to put in a prediction on Rivals at some point. Might be tomorrow for Arch Manning on his school of choice. So maybe stick around and see that. Why are you looking at me like that, Ben? Like you're side-eyeing me a little bit like a cat or something like that. Like you want?
Because I'm curious. I mean,
you're curious. All right, well, that's cool.
You don't want them. You were trying to justify one day why the fans wouldn't want them. So very interested.
Guys, we appreciate you so much for watching. If you could,
set that up.
Look, man, appreciate you, Toby. You can't call another man out for his pizza. Exactly, damn right. You can't. Easy Eve says,
Toby,
great show.
Don't defend them.
Been the heartbreaker, rainmaker. Great show, guys. This guy said thank you. Better than the NBA Finals. Nice. Do you guys want to hear my betting story or?
Yeah, real quick.
Okay, so real quick. So, your boy got down bad on basketball last week. I remember that. I found that you could on this thing. I found you could go into a casino, like a virtual casino, and play blackjack. So your boy got back, right? So I was like sitting there one night, I was up like, a little bit of money. And I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and just play while my wife watches TV. We're hanging out and I'm playing $10 a hand, Next thing you know, I accidentally hit the $100 button, dude. Boom, your boy gets a 12 thrown at him. I say hit 22. I'm like, oh my God, I got to get this back. Throw another 100 on it. Boom, 12 again. Hit 22. $400 was gone in 3 minutes. I immediately sat up and went and vomited. My wife was like, are you okay? And I had to tell her what had happened. I did not mean to do it. So yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
That's terrible, man.
Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad.
If Paul puts in his pick now at this point for Georgia, I'm just going to future cast him to Texas. It's a lock.
Can I send us all a story if I'm the special guest? Okay. So at the beach one time, we took one of those little casino cruises where you go out in the water and you screw around.
Yeah, because you have to go out in the water, right?
Yeah, exactly. So this is actually a story from my dad. I was on the boat, but I was somewhere else. But this guy, their playing, it's probably like you said, Paul, probably $10, $15 a hand. Except this guy was playing probably 50 or something. So they get toward the end and they make the announcement, we're going to be in Waters in like 10 minutes. So this guy puts like $300 on a hand. And because he gets like a pair of, no, he got an 11. He got an 11 and the dealer had a 6.
Now.
Well, you got a double.
Yeah.
But this guy, he didn't have any more money. He pulls money out of his wallet and throws it on the table and doubles, gets like a 3, and the dealer had an ace under the 6, and one was 17. And the guy
Ben, you wouldn't know anything about that, Ben. Gambling.
Yeah.
I win. So my story's
not
not
even
bad.
allowed-
It's just straight up
Ben,
winning.
You're not even allowed to
You should learn, Paul.
You're not even allowed in the club. You're not even allowed in the
Learn how to
club.
win apples from the Motel 6.
With that, guys, we appreciate you so much. Hit that like
NIL
button.
deal
I'm Paul
right there,
Maharry,
Paul.
Jed May, Ben Bachmann, Jason, but that's Around the Horn. We'll be back next Sunday, Knuckleheads.